Daniel St Hubert, aka the Brooklyn Ripper, has been found dead in his prison cell in the New York prison. This is a true example of you reap what you sow. This piece of shit will be convicted for stabbing two children, a 6-year-old and a 7-year-old, one dying and one living. Children were going down an elevator to buy ice cream in their neighborhood. Hubert, this piece of shit, would end up randomly stabbing them both, killing the 6-year-old. However, he would get away. They had no fucking cameras anywhere in that neighborhood. Could you imagine that? This is buildings and buildings where kids play, and there's not one camera on any elevator. It's just like with the schools. They protect the money. In the banks, there's cameras everywhere, armed guards. But when it comes to children, nothing. After he stabbed them, he got away. He would go on the run. Within hours of the stabbing, he would become the prime suspect. Let's talk about something that really makes me mad. How they leave our children, the most vulnerable people in our society, and just lead them to the slaughter. This piece of shit had just been released from prison less than 60 days prior to the stabbing incident that took one child's life and almost killed the other. You know what he did? He stabbed his mother. After he did those 4 years for stabbing and tying up his mother with an electrical cord, and it is said that the Department of Corrections knew he had a serious issue with violence and continued to stalk his mother upon release. Why are these predators, these domestic monsters who beat women and children, these rapists, these chomos, this guy stabbed his mom, tied her with electrical cord, and you don't get parole or any type of supervision? It should be mandatory. When you get out, you have to check into some type of domestic registration, just like they do with the chomos. Because if you're willing to stab your mother, beat women, beat children, you're gonna do it again. You're a coward. You're weak. You have a predator mindset. It's only a matter of time until it goes further and further, if it hasn't already. And he gets out, and what does he do? Not monitored, free to go in the community. Even though he was already doing some shit that they had an idea about, that his mom had to put an injunction on, he goes into an elevator in Brooklyn, no cameras in any of these buildings, makes no sense, goes up there, stabs the kids, drops the knife, and even gets away. Think about that. If somebody did that in a bank, somebody did that in a store, they wouldn't even make it halfway down the street. But when you do it to schools or children, you get away. Yet, it wouldn't work out that well for this piece of shit. He would ultimately get convicted as he dropped the knife, and they found his DNA on it, and he was described as being on the scene. And with his history of stabbing his mother, his DNA on the knife, he would be sentenced to life. Well, 50 years. However, he didn't make that date. The quote-unquote Brooklyn Ripper would be found dead, bleeding out the side of his body on a prison floor. Just as you left those children covered in blood with knife wounds, there you are. But the cameras didn't work in prison either. It's a real problem they got going on. All these domestic motherfuckers, and they go after children and women and moms and grandmas and elderly and these chomos. It's not a matter of if, it's only when. You don't just hurt children and women and mothers. That's something that's deep inside of you, that you're a coward, you're weak. Because when they go to prison, all they do is say, protective custody, help me, I'm in danger. Because they know they have to answer for what they did. When they do, they're cowered down, as they are now the victims. Because anytime someone their size or a man is in their face, why is it that they're begging, they're screaming, saying the conditions are horrendous, help me, protective custody? Yeah, when you were stabbing your mom, beating that girl, stabbing the kids, these chomos, you were in your element then. But now you have to answer for it. And people aren't victims in there. You're the victim, because you're the coward. You go after the only thing that you can ever hurt: women and children, grandmas and moms. And you get to prison and you become the victim. I listened to what this coward said right as he got sentenced. This just shows you why he got hit up in prison and bled out. Not just for what he did to those children. Obviously, that's 99.9% of it. But this man goes to talking about he almost made it to Hollywood. Think about that. Listen to this.
That would give me a big key to open to a lot of open doors, you know what I'm saying? And I was a person that had an eye for money, and it's really hard out there to get that. So I just try to put my mind together the best way I could to go after the big things.
Stay out, stay free. Us.